You don't have a willpower problem. You have an identity crisis. You keep saying you want more control, more power, more mastery over your own damn mind. But every time comfort calls your name, you answer like a loyal dog. You obey the cravings. You surrender to the laziness. And you call it normal. You scroll through videos looking for motivation, hoping something hits hard enough to jolt you into action. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. The problem isn't that you're not motivated. The problem is that you're still negotiating with your weakness, still entertaining excuses like they pay rent in your mind, still whispering to your demons like they might be right this time. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many times have you promised yourself this is it? That this time you'd be disciplined, that this time you'd follow through, that this time you'd silence that soft voice in your head that always finds a way out. And yet, here you are, still bleeding from self-inflicted wounds, still calling it fate when it was your own surrender. No more. Because today we don't talk about hype. We talk about psychological warfare. You want unbreakable willpower? Then you'd better be ready to unlearn everything society told you was healthy, balanced, or good enough. Because unbreakable willpower is not built on balance. It's built on obsession. It's built on sacrifice. It's built on the brutal daily execution of a code that demands more from you than the world ever will. And it starts in the mind, not the fluffy surface layer of positive thinking, but the trenches, the dark, primitive, brutal battlefield where your desires, your identity, and your discipline collide. Most people lose that war without even realizing they were in one. But you're here, which means something inside you hasn't given up. Something inside you is ready to burn the old programming, to become the flame instead of running from the fire. So here's your weapon. 5 psychological secrets to make your willpower untouchable, unbreakable, indestructible, even on your weakest day. Not everyone deserves this blueprint. Most will scroll past because it sounds hard, but you're still here. So let's begin. The first secret: identity precedes action. You think willpower is a decision? It's not. It's a byproduct of identity. And identity? That's the game you're really playing. Listen carefully. You will never consistently act in a way that contradicts who you believe you are. You want to know why your discipline collapses at midnight? Why you keep breaking promises to yourself? Why you relapse into comfort the second things get hard? It's because deep down, you still believe you're the type of person who breaks. You've been trying to fight your habits with action when the foundation is rotting underneath. And the foundation is this: who do you think you are when no one's watching? You say you want to wake up early. You say you want to train every day. You say you want to grind for your vision like your life depends on it. But in the shadows, your identity still belongs to the weaker version of you. The one that flinches. The one that compromises. The one that lets life happen instead of commanding it into shape. Here's the truth they don't teach in school. Discipline doesn't start in the morning. It starts in the mind. It starts the moment you decide who you are and refuse to betray that image. Not even once. Because every time you act in alignment with your new identity, you reinforce it. Every time you resist temptation, you tighten the armor. Every time you choose discomfort over indulgence, you become more real. This is deeper than habits. Habits are just echoes. The real source is the self-image generating them. So if your identity is still wrapped around comfort, addiction, laziness, weakness, then your willpower will always have an expiration date. And let's be honest, you already know what that feels like. You've tasted the disgust of being two people, the person you are in your dreams, and the person you become when no one's watching. So what now? How do you bridge that gap? You kill the false identity, the one programmed by fear, doubt, and your past failures. You destroy the version of you that flinches at hardship and seeks applause for showing up. And you replace it with someone dangerous, someone obsessed, someone who no longer needs permission to become who they were always meant to be. Because willpower isn't about pushing through the pain. It's about becoming the type of person who thrives in it. From now on, you don't try to eat clean. You say, I don't poison myself. You don't try to get up early. You say, I rise with purpose, because that's who I am. You don't try to resist distractions. You say, I am focus incarnate. I build empires in silence. And if that feels like a lie at first, good. Every transformation starts as a contradiction. You wear it anyway. You speak it anyway. You bleed it into existence until reality has no choice but to kneel to your new identity. Because willpower is not the root, it's the fruit, and it only grows from a tree that knows exactly what it is. So who are you? Right now, in this moment. Are you the sheep, begging for guidance, addicted to comfort? Or are you the wolf, reprogramming your mind, forging your reality, and building willpower as a weapon? Decide now, because everything that follows will be built on the answer. And if you lie to yourself here, you will lose everything that comes after. No more pretending, no more hoping. You either become the identity your dream life requires, or you die as the version that never got there. The choice is yours. But remember, identity always precedes action. The second secret: dopamine is not your enemy, but your weapon. Every addiction you've ever had, every time you've scrolled instead of built, every time you binged, skipped, quit, or ran, wasn't because you're weak. It was because your dopamine was hijacked. You didn't lose control. You gave it away, bit by bit, every time you chose instant pleasure over long-term power. Understand this now, or stay a slave forever. Dopamine isn't evil. It's just a signal, a currency, a weapon that gets sharper depending on who's holding it. The problem? You've let the world use it against you. They fed you garbage rewards, fast food, fast sex, fast likes, fast highs, until your brain became a junkyard of short-term hits. You got trained like a dog. Chase the treat, ignore the truth. And now, you can't even sit still for 5 minutes without checking a screen. You feel tired after 30 minutes of focused work. You scroll to escape your own potential. That's not fatigue. That's addiction to the shallow. That's your dopamine loop screaming for another hit. Because you fed it trash, and now it's starving for depth. But here's what no one told you. You can reprogram dopamine. You can turn the very chemical that once enslaved you into a sword of steel. You don't remove it. You redirect it. Dopamine doesn't care what you chase. It only cares that you're chasing something. So flip the script. You train your brain to associate dopamine with grind, pain, and resistance. You make dopamine fire not when the job is done, but when the war is still raging and you're still standing. When it's 5 a.m. and the world's asleep, but you're wide awake. That's dopamine. When your body's aching but you're still moving forward. That's dopamine. When you show up again and again and again, with no applause, no reward, no one watching. That's pure dopamine, untouched by poison. It's not about killing pleasure. It's about upgrading it. You rewire the loop. Instead of I feel good when I scroll, it becomes I feel good when I resist. Instead of I get a hit when I quit, it becomes I get a hit when I endure. Instead of this hurts, I should stop, it becomes this hurts, good. That means I'm earning something no one can take from me. That's the key. You don't just build discipline by avoiding pleasure. You build it by weaponizing it. You link dopamine to war, to pain, to repetition, to the grind that makes the average crumble. And suddenly, the thing that once made you weak becomes the engine of your strength. But be warned, this transformation isn't easy. There's withdrawal. You'll feel hollow. You'll feel like nothing's working, because your brain is detoxing from false gods. It's trying to trick you into crawling back to comfort. You must outlast the scream. You must choose silence over stimulation. You must feel the hunger and learn to feed it iron, not sugar. Because when you've retrained your mind to chase the right rewards, you don't need to force yourself to be disciplined. You crave it. You ache for it. You need it like air. That's when dopamine becomes a soldier, marching under your command, firing only when it strengthens your mission, never again when it weakens it. You're no longer a victim of impulses. You are the architect of desire. You don't run from pleasure. You wield it. And when that happens, you no longer need to resist temptation because you've trained your brain to hate it. The snack, useless. The scroll, disgusting. The easy path, offensive. You've become immune because you've reprogrammed the pleasure center of your own mind. And once you've done that, no one can control you again. The third secret: ritual slaughters resistance. You think your biggest enemy is procrastination, or doubt, or fear. No. Your greatest enemy is hesitation. That 5-second delay between impulse and action. That's where your old self crawls in through the cracks. That's where resistance whispers sweet poison into your ear. Maybe later. You've earned a break. One day off won't hurt. You know that voice. It sounds like you, but it's not. It's the echo of every weak decision you've ever made, begging for another chance to live. And you feed it every time you decide whether or not to act. But what if there was nothing to decide? What if you could eliminate the battle before it ever begins? That's the power of ritual, and that's why this secret is lethal. Ritual is not routine. Routine is for civilians. Ritual is for warriors. Routine is what people try to build. Ritual is what you become. Routine is flexible, optional, negotiable. Ritual is sacred, unbreakable, non-negotiable. Ritual is the system that murders hesitation in its sleep. You don't ask if you should train today. You train. You don't ask if you should grind this morning. You grind. You don't ask if you should show up, speak truth, sacrifice comfort. You already decided that. Years ago. You do it because it's who you are. Let me explain how resistance works. It doesn't attack head-on. It waits in the fog. It creeps in through indecision, distraction, and emotion. It waits for you to pause, just long enough, to entertain weakness. Ritual leaves no pause. Ritual is war on autopilot. It removes the human error. It turns you into a machine, fueled by principle, not preference. You don't feel like it? Good. That's irrelevant. You're not a slave to your feelings anymore. You've graduated. Because you understand the ancient truth. Discipline is not an emotion. It is a decision made once and enforced forever. Most people burn out because they think too much. They wake up and start negotiating with themselves. Should I get up or sleep in? Should I push myself today or take it easy? Should I work on my goals or relax for a bit? Every question is a trap. Every option is a door back to mediocrity. Ritual removes the doors. Ritual says, this is what we do. Period. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel inspired. You don't need the stars to align. You need a trigger, and you need obedience. Wake up, make bed, drink water, move. Alarm goes off, hit the ground, grind begins. Sun rises, resistance dies. That's how killers operate. Here's the brutal truth. If you don't have rituals, you don't have standards. And if you don't have standards, you'll default to cravings. And cravings, they'll destroy every ounce of greatness hiding inside you. You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your patterns. So forge better patterns. Forge rituals that force you to become the version of you that you lie awake dreaming about. You want freedom? Build a cage of sacred actions and lock yourself inside it until you emerge unrecognizable. But what about creativity? They ask. What about flow? Listen closely. Only disciplined minds deserve freedom. Only the structured earn spontaneity. Only those who conquer themselves daily have earned the right to create without collapsing. You want to build something eternal? Structure is your throne, and ritual is the crown. So here's your warning. If you keep winging it, if you keep waking up hoping today will feel right, if you keep building your life on scattered moments of energy, you will remain in the purgatory of potential forever. But if you build rituals that slaughter resistance before it can speak, you will never be at the mercy of motivation again. You will become consistent. You will become inevitable. You will become a living storm that no force on earth can slow down. And the best part? You won't have to think about it, because you already decided. This is who you are now. This is what you do. And there's nothing left to discuss. The fourth secret. You must starve the weak self. Inside you, there are two forces at war. The warrior and the parasite. The warrior is disciplined, focused, ruthless. The one who trains in silence, builds in darkness, and thrives in discomfort. And then there's the parasite, the whispering coward, the version of you that pleads for shortcuts, that begs for comfort, that dreams big, but crumbles under pressure and hides behind excuses. And here's what no one told you. You can't balance the two. You can't coexist with the enemy. You can't negotiate with the version of you that's trying to destroy everything you're becoming. No, you must starve it. You must become so cold to your cravings, so immune to indulgence, so detached from your past self, that even when the weak voice inside you cries out for a taste of comfort, you look it dead in the eye and say nothing, because nothing starves the weak self like silence. Not arguments, not self-help quotes, not journal entries. Silence, stillness, total rejection. You don't feed it. You don't comfort it. You don't soothe it. You kill it, day by day, by denying it the energy it needs to survive. Every time you skip the workout, that version of you grows. Every time you lie to yourself and say, I'll start tomorrow, you feed the parasite. Every time you hit snooze, Every time you choose distraction over depth. Every time you numb yourself with food, alcohol, or entertainment. You shovel fuel into the mouth of the identity that's ruined your life in secret. And if you're not careful, it becomes who you are. A bloated version of potential, stuffed with regret, living off scraps of dreams you could have built if you'd only said no. You think starving your weak self is cruel? Let me tell you what's cruel. Smiling while your potential dies a slow death. Living a life of quiet panic. Being haunted by the ghost of the version of you that could have made it. That's cruelty. That's pain with no power. So starve it now. Ruthlessly. Aggressively. Every single day. Here's how. When the urge hits to skip the grind, don't pause. Execute. When your body says rest, but your mission says go, listen to the mission. When your brain starts building logical reasons to break your standard, ignore them like lies. Because they are. And most importantly, never reward weakness. Don't treat yourself for halfway effort. Don't celebrate participation. Don't allow a single drop of comfort until it's earned in blood and sweat. Because the weak self will always use softness to crawl back in. It lives in half efforts. It thrives in rationalizations. It grows in your tolerance for excuses. You want to know how to kill it? Become intolerant, unforgiving, unapologetic, savage with your own standards. But here's the paradox. The more you starve the weak self, the quieter it becomes. The less you indulge it, the more your real identity sharpens. The more you say no to ease, the more ease becomes meaningless. Until one day, you don't even hear the voice anymore. The parasite is dead. And all that's left is the warrior. The one who shows up no matter how they feel. The one who doesn't need motivation. Because principle is enough. The one who never asks, how much longer? Because they're already at war until death. That's who you become when you stop feeding the lie. So ask yourself, what are you still feeding? What are you still allowing to live inside you that should have been starved years ago? Every indulgence is a breadcrumb trail back to mediocrity. Every excuse you allow is a love letter to your weakness. Starve the weak self, and the strong one will have room to rise. No more negotiations. No more justifications. No more second chances for the voice that's been trying to bury you alive. Starve it, and never look back. The fifth secret. The pain of discipline must become your religion. Let's end the illusion once and for all. You will suffer either way. Whether you choose discipline or comfort, you will suffer. Discipline is pain now. Comfort is pain delayed. But when it finally comes, comfort's pain is sharper, colder, permanent. So stop asking how to avoid the pain. Ask instead, which pain makes you stronger? Most people spend their lives running from the pain of effort. They see early mornings, sore muscles, missed parties, cold showers, difficult conversations, relentless repetition, and they flinch. They retreat. They justify. They say, I deserve a break, not realizing the life they're building will break them in the end. But a warrior, a GrimFace, they don't just accept pain. They kneel to it. They worship it. They build rituals around it. They sacrifice comfort on its altar. And in return, they receive something no shortcut can ever deliver. Unshakable power. Pain is the gatekeeper of greatness. You can read 1,000 books. Repeat 1,000 affirmations. Visualize your dream life until your eyelids burn. But if you cannot suffer on purpose, you will never taste glory. because the world only respects what was earned, and nothing is earned without sacrifice. You want more energy? Then earn it by pushing when you're tired. You want more confidence? Earn it by doing the thing you fear, until the fear dies screaming. You want more peace? Earn it through war. No one drifts into greatness. They are forged into it, hardened by the brutal rhythm of daily discomfort. So how do you make discipline your religion? You start by flipping your entire relationship with pain. Right now, pain is your trigger to stop. You hit resistance, and you retreat. You feel fatigue, and you compromise. You encounter failure, and you shrink. But from this point forward, pain must become your green light. The pain of discipline is no longer something to endure. It's something to seek. If it burns, it builds. If it stings, it sculpts. If it stretches you beyond reason, then you're exactly where you need to be. This is spiritual. This is war on the soul level. Because when you can thank the pain, when you can welcome the struggle, when you can bow to the agony of repetition, of isolation, of silence, of self-mastery, you become something rare. You become someone the world can't understand. They'll call you obsessed. They'll call you intense. They'll say you've changed. Good. Let them call it madness, because they never met your demons. They don't know what it costs to rebuild a self you can finally respect. They don't know what it feels like to live with a war in your head and still choose forward motion every single day. But you do, and that's why you're still here, because somewhere inside you, something sacred has awakened. So here's your final command. From now on, everything hard becomes holy. The pain of waking up early, that's prayer. The burn of one more rep, that's baptism. The discomfort of walking alone in your mission, that's communion. You make pain your offering. You make effort your temple. You make repetition your ritual. And in doing so, you sanctify your suffering. Because the pain of discipline isn't punishment, it's transformation. And if you embrace it long enough, hard enough, deeply enough, you don't just build willpower, you become it. Solid, unbreakable, unshakable. A force of nature that no temptation can tempt, no resistance can stop, and no weakness can seduce. You were never meant to be soft. You were never meant to be average. You were meant to suffer for something greater and rise like steel from the furnace. So bleed, grind, sacrifice, and make the pain of discipline your daily religion. So now you know, this isn't about motivation. This is war. A war against the voice that tells you to quit. A war against the cravings that try to control you. A war against the soft, silent poison of who you used to be. Most people will never fight it. They'll numb it, bury it, justify it. But you've stayed through the storm. You didn't look away. You didn't scroll past. You stared into the fire and saw something familiar, something ancient waking up inside you. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. Let them call you extreme for choosing pain over pleasure, war over rest, and purpose over popularity. Because one day, they'll see you built something they can't destroy. And by the time they understand what it took, it'll be too late to copy. Because you weren't built in public. You were built in ritual, in darkness, in discipline, where no one clapped and no one had to. You earned your edge in silence. And now, you're sharpening it every single day. So here's your last command. Don't just remember these 5 psychological secrets. Live them. Breathe them. Etch them into your code until the entire world feels your presence before you even speak. This is your edge. This is your weapon. This is your becoming. And for those who've been here from the beginning, to the returning GrimFace warriors, thank you. You are the proof that this movement is real. You are the reason it grows louder, stronger, more relentless with every passing day. And to those discovering this for the first time, if this lit a fire in your mind, if this spoke to the part of you that refuses to die quietly, then don't walk away. Don't let this be just another video. Join the GrimFace movement. Subscribe, train, transformation. Because comfort is the enemy, and discipline is sacred. We'll see you on the battlefield. And this time, you won't be alone.